You ready for this?
Hello and welcome to another video on the channel. This week I want to start something new for the beginning of every season of Doctor Who from here on out. Assuming that we get the titles and during the trailer releases for season 2, 3, 4 and so on, I would like to start doing something called Prediction Rankings. Now, this is where I predict what I'm going to rank each story based on what we see in the trailers and their titles. Obviously, for this season, I've got a 1 in 8 chance of getting a prediction right. So I guess we'll be back when the season's over to see if my prediction was true. Now, I was planning on doing another video on a right wing grifter this week. However, with it being the Easter holidays in the UK, I just haven't had the time. So, without further ado, let's get right in with my ranking, starting with number 8. Now, the reason this is at the bottom of the list is simply because I don't know much about it. I have been ignoring things like leaks and any of that, apart from a few kind of nods that I have come across from the grapevine. So this episode, I can't really think of anything that's going to be shown in the trailers, except for one scene of which Ruby looks older with glasses. I think that'll be in this episode, but obviously that's the only one that I'm kind of connecting to. Another one I think could fit here is the butterfly effect scene, but because I don't know much about it, it's at the bottom of the barrel. Simple as that. The finale is taking number 7, and that is the same reason as The Legend of Ruby Sunday, because I don't know much about it. Like, you can tell finale shots in the trailer, you can tell what it's going to be, and what you can see from them looks absolutely beautiful. But again, I know hardly anything about it except that Mel's probably going to be in it. The only reason it's a step higher is because I prefer the title. Empire of Death is a good finale title in my eyes. I think it's strong, and I think it's going to be absolutely stunning when it releases. So, yeah. Now, this one was a bit weird and iffy, and I kind of pondered on it. Obviously, next we've got Dot and Bubble. What I can tell is that we've got those little pod creature things, and I've got my own theories on this, which I won't get into here because I don't have much time. But yeah, I've got my own theories on that, and what we can see is kind of like a younger Mrs. Flood in there as well, and I think that might kind of push to the greater story arc, because yeah, we know Mrs. Flood has a massive impact, and yeah, it's things like that I think might actually be interesting. But I've got some more interests and some other things kind of with the other stories, so yeah, there's much more in the other stories, which is why this is where it is now. So next up, obviously, Rogue. Now, this is one of the 2 period pieces. We've got the Beatles episode and then Rogue. What we've seen from Rogue so far, like Ruby's, this is the one which is the most heavily shown in these trailers. And I think that's why it's kind of where it is, because I think we've been shown too much, but also not enough, if that makes sense. I know it doesn't, but it does in my head, so that's good enough for me. Rogue, I think, is going to be absolutely beautiful. It's obviously the one where we get the shot of a hologram of David Tennant, which I think obviously is going over all the Doctor's past faces. And the woman who played Susie Costello in Torchwood is also in this, and I absolutely loved to hate Susie Costello in Torchwood. So I can't wait to see her back in the universe. Like, that's going to be fantastic. Ruby obviously has a lot of comments on this, like, oh, that is so Bridgerton and things like that. It just looks like where the Doctor and Ruby, I think, are going to shine as a duo over any other story. Obviously, I'm saying that because we've seen that more than anything. So, yeah. Now the pilot story, Space Babies. I'm kind of intrigued by this more than anything. Like, we've got the Bogeyman, we've got talking babies, and then we've got kind of like and the casting for like a nanny person has just been announced. I can't remember who's playing it because I didn't really look into it, but that's kind of intrigued me quite a bit, and it's probably because I've just had a kid 4 months ago, but that's not the point. So that's, I don't know, I just kind of just tickles my fancy. I know this is kind of like the first proper outing with Ruby and 15, so seeing them there, it's got a lot to live up for, but I do think it's going to be pretty good. This is why it'll take, but I think that there's a lot that they'll have to work on and push, which is why I think it'll take number 4. So, yeah, awesome. Now, next up is the horror episode 73 Yards. This is taken number 3 because of one comment that Russell T Davies said so long ago. This is this episode, I think, has the same problem as the first 2, Empire of Death and Legend of Ruby Sunday, where we haven't seen much, we don't know. However, the reason this is so high up is because Russell T Davies said that this is one of the best things that he's written. He said this way, way back when filming first began, and ever since that, my interest has been piqued. And it, from what we've seen in the title release mini trailer, it's going to be a true sci-fi horror, and I love those stories. I'm a sucker for sci-fi horrors, and I honestly think it is going to be as good as he's saying. This is the one where I'm more iffy on that it'll stay at number 3, because I think it'll actually end up higher. I know the finales are probably going to end up higher as well. This is the one I think truly will end up higher on my ending list. Stephen Moffat's back, bitches, and he's here with a boom. So Stephen Moffat's back writing episode 3, which is titled Boom. And what we've seen, looks fantastic. Like, we know it's going to be a Ruby solo takeover episode because the Doctor's foot is on a mine. And I think that's where this beautiful mini speech comes in, where the Doctor says he's much more than... Actually, I'm just going to play it right here because it's much better if I just play it right here.
Honey, I'm a much bigger bang than you bargained for. I will shatter this silly little battlefield into dust. In a heartbeat, into dust.
That speech, I think, is going to be played in this episode, and you just see Shooty's passion in that, beautifully delivered. I cannot wait to see this episode. However, I am most looking forward to the number 1 spot, which, if you've been paying attention, you know is. Now, I know that this episode is going to be a musical episode, and I am a sucker for musical episodes in TV. My favourite episode of The Flash Season 3 is, and always will be, Duet. The mini crossover episode between The Flash and Supergirl with the Music Meister. The songs in there, loads of them are on my playlist. It's absolutely stunning. And if the CW can pull off that on like a really shitty budget. I cannot wait to see what Russell T Davies has in store with The Devil's Call. Jinx Monsoon, she looks absolutely gorgeous in her outfit. In that outfit, that costume, the whole using music notes as a weapon was used in Multiverse of Madness, and I loved it. I thought that fight was in Multiverse of Madness was absolutely unique. It was gorgeous. And I think obviously, I think it's going to take inspiration from that for Monsoon's villain. This entire story has so much going for it. It's one that we've seen sparing of in regards to shots in these two trailers, and then obviously the teaser trailer we got on Christmas Day. But I honestly cannot wait for this, and I think because of I'm a sucker for musical episodes, this is going to be my number one spot in my end of ranking. Like, this is the one I'm most confident on, which is why it's number one here. I honestly cannot wait. But that is it. That is my predictive ranking for the Doctor Who Series 1 titles and stories. Looking back, I'm not really confident on some of them. Like, the finale is definitely not going to be at the bottom of the barrel. Like, that's going to go up. And I honestly think Rogue may change a few spaces. I see Boom going up one and maybe 73 yards, maybe coming down to number 2. Yeah. But apart from that, with only 8 episodes, it's going to be pretty... Yeah. If there's anyone that I think is going to end up being a really meh episode, it'll probably end up being Dot and Bubble. I don't know why, I've just got a feeling that that's going to be the worst one for me. But then again, I guess in mid to late June, we'll all find out. So thank you all very much for watching. Stay tuned, because next week is actually going to be a proper video and not something that I'm going to throw together in a very short amount of time. I've actually got to film and edit. So thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.